الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Amma ba'd. As to what precedes, after praising Allah the Most High, separated from His creation in a manner which befits His Majesty, with love and veneration exclusively for Him, and then requesting He the Most High to send His salah and salam upon His final prophet and messenger, Khatamul Anbiya wal Mursaleen, Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qurashi alayhi salatu wassalam. Once again, we meet for our weekly meeting to study the text written by the noble scholar Shaykh Muhammad Sa'id al-Aslan, Hafidhahullah ta'ala wa ra'ahu, known as Maratibu Talab al-Ilmi wa Turuq Tahsilihi, stages and means of seeking knowledge. In our previous meeting, we were discussing the importance of seeking knowledge, talabul ilm, at an early age. And we came across some of the stories that were mentioned with regards to many scholars starting to seek knowledge at an early age. From amongst them, which we read about and discussed, was Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith, al-Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari al-Ju'fi, rahimahullah ta'ala. This is the norm or the adah when it comes to seeking knowledge, that knowledge should be obtained at an early age. This does not mean that there are exceptions, that a person may start to seek knowledge at a later age. We also find this, and there are many examples in the books of the Salaf that we find that many scholars also started to seek knowledge at a later age. But that was due to their circumstances or not having the opportunity. Whereas the norm, and with opportunities, a person should start to seek knowledge at an early age. And there are many benefits. From amongst the benefits that is mentioned is that when a child is young, or at an early age, when a person starts to seek knowledge, due to the sharpness and due to the mind being relaxed and not having any responsibilities, a person is able to focus on seeking knowledge with a clear mind. So we stopped at Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, and the Shaykh, he said, another instance, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah used to be a very diligent and studious student since he was a child. He memorized the entire Quran at youth. So this is something that you will notice, that the ada, or the normal trend when it comes to seeking knowledge, is that many of the scholars, their children start with memorizing the Quran. And we have covered this and gone through with regards to this in great detail. We've come across the statements of Ibn Khaldun and the benefits that come with it. So this is exactly what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah did, rahimahullah ta'ala. And then after memorizing the Quran, he devoted his time to studying hadith, fiqh, and Arabic language until he literally mastered them, despite being a regular attendee in knowledge classes. As we all know that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, Allah had blessed him with great intelligence. It would not be a statement of exaggeration if you were to say that he was one in a million in his time. So Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, who devoted his entire life to study the deen, to propagate it, and to defend it. As we all know that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he died in prison because he was firm upon the truth and he did not give in or compromise the truth, regardless of the troubles, the tribulations, and the difficulties that he confronted. So the Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he received multiple ijazat from many highly eminent scholars. Moreover, he studied the big compilations of hadith, like Musnad Ahmad, Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Jami' al-Tirmidhi, Sunan Abi Dawood, Sunan al-Nasa'i, Sunan Ibn Majah, Sunan Dar-Qutni, multiple times. And by Allah, I wish that we follow the methodology of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and that me and those who are studying with me, Allah grants us the ability to do exactly what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah did, which is to study the books of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam multiple times until we die. That is my motto, and that is what I call to, and that is what I stand for. And now, as being witnesses that you will know, or those of you who attend my lessons and who are studying with me, and from that aspect you are called my students, that you are studying with me. A person who is studying with me is called a student in this sense, or in this context, as literally studying with me. Who I acknowledge to be my student is a different issue. And it seems that people keep conflating these two issues, and they can't make that difference or distinction. Not everybody that studies with you is considered to be your student. A student is somebody who you acknowledge, who you commend, give a recommendation. That is who is your student. So the first book in hadith that he memorized, Shaykh al-Islam, was Al-Jam'u Bayna al-Sahihayn, authored by Imam al-Humaydi, rahimahullah ta'ala, as narrated by Shaykh Sirajuddin Abu Hafs Ummi. And many times a lot of students have come to me and they said that we have the himmah, or the enthusiasm, or the courage to memorize a book al-hadith. Which book would you recommend? So I would say, in response, I would say that take the path of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Memorize al-Jam'u bayna as-Sahihayn by al-Humaydi. Shaykh al-Islam, he attended classes So he attended the classes of Abdul Da'im al-Maqdisi. Abdul Da'im al-Maqdisi. Besides other contemporaries who share his level. He read the Islamic pivotal books, attended lots of classes, and devoted his time to studying religious disciplines. Ibn Abdul Hadi, Ibn Qudama says, Ibn Taymiyyah attended classes of over 200 sheikhs. He studied Musnad of Imam Ahmad multiple times, as well as other voluminous and brief books. One of the books he studied was Mu'jam al-Tabarani. Mu'jam al-Tabarani al-Kabir. Furthermore, he studied hadith. He learned handwriting, reading, calligraphy, and maths in the Kuttab. So he learned all these subjects, which is al-Khat, calligraphy, Naskh, handwriting, in al-Kuttab. We know Kuttab is what we call today, which is equivalent to what we call today the evening madrasas, or the madrasas where the children go to learn. He memorized the whole Quran, studied fiqh and Arabic. He studied the books of Sibawayh analytically until he fully understood it and excelled in grammar. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, a characteristic that he adopted whilst studying different funun, different subjects and topics, is that he analyzed. He was an analyst. He analyzed what he studied. It is for this reason that you find that at the beginning of his journey, if you were to read some of his verdicts, you will see that his fatwa were very different at the beginning of his life, restricted more to the Hanbali madhab than after, when he excelled in knowledge. He preoccupied himself with studying. This is the key for a talib al-ilm. What matters the most is that he preoccupies himself with studying. He preoccupied himself with studying tafsir until he topped all of his contemporaries. So if a person is able to preoccupy himself in studying, and from amongst the subjects, the tafsir of the Quran, then this is something which is great. The reason of why Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is his in-depth understanding of the Quran. Remember that all the different subjects that you study, every single subject that you study, and I have mentioned this in the Madkhal of al-Usul al-Thalatha, if you go back to those recordings before we started, many subjects, they serve as a mechanism as a tool to assist you to master the main subjects of al-Islam, of ulum sharia. And the most important book for us is the book of Allah, the kalam of Allah, which we neglect and we don't give enough time to study. We are preoccupied with studying many other subjects. And the speech of Allah, the kalam of Allah, the book of Allah, we neglect it. It is for this reason that they say that when he was imprisoned, and students such as Ibn al-Qayyim and others have reported this from him, that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, when he was with the Quran in prison, he wished and he desired that he would have, if he had the chance, he would have devoted all his time in studying the book of Allah. So Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he mastered usul al-fiqh besides other disciplines. He did all this before reaching 20 years old. Can you imagine? So he did all this before he was 20 years old. And this is the shahid here, or the reason of why Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah was quoted, and by his students when they talked about him. This is what they said about him, that at the age of 20, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah was on a different level. Keep in mind that the previous quotes merely reminds the reader of the virtue of seeking knowledge. So what we have benefited from briefly looking into the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah is a constructive program, guidance, and how to conduct oneself when it comes to seeking knowledge. A few points that we find that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, which need to be highlighted here, is that first of all, seeking knowledge at an early age, fi sighari. Secondly, we find at this time that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah did not engage in refutation or confrontation, because that stage of his is known as the stage of building, ta'sis and ta'sil. When you are building something, you have to build, and you have to build strong, build it strongly. And sadly to say that in the West we have the people where they want to refute without having a solid foundation, without building, without having an infrastructure that is strong. And that's what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah did. Another benefit that we can take from his biography is that the scholars that he had at his disposal, who were experts in all different fields, he went to them and he studied with them what was their major. And this is what a talib al-ilm does, that if this scholar was a great expert in the Arabic language, then he only went and took the Arabic language from him. That's why we see a great number of teachers that he had. Also from the benefits, and this is something which only a few students of knowledge can do. And generally people are advised against this, normally. And that is that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah had the ability, the strength, the capability, and the mind to attend multiple classes of the different scholars simultaneously. So these are some of the things that we need to reflect upon the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and how can we follow his footsteps. So the Shaykh, he says that keep in mind that the previous quotes already reminds the reader of the virtue of seeking knowledge. In today's reality, only optimism to achieve something in such a short lifespan is all that is left. So this is our hal. Now, when we look at ourselves, we find that our hal is such that this can only be seen as a dream. This can only be seen as a dream. This can only be seen as an aspiration. This is the time that we live in. And the most important thing of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah's life is that Allah blessed him, that there was barakah in his time. And from what I see of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, one of the great characteristics that I have found with regards to this man, and I have been reading Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah for many years, and I continue reading about him. In fact, one of our sheikhs in Medina used to say that dissertation that doesn't mention Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah is not considered to be a dissertation. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah put into practice what he studied. And some of you, who's read the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah here? Has anybody here read the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah? There is a biography that is available of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah in the English language. I don't know how good the translation is, but it's by one of his students, al-Bazzar. See if you can find that PDF. PDF is available. One of the detailed biographies of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah is by his student Ibn Abdul Hadi. When you read the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and the purpose of reading the biographies of the scholars of al-Islam is to benefit from them and implement our knowledge, what we learn, and put it into practice. So we find that Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, when he was imprisoned for, and he died in jail, in the prison, because of two issues. The first issue was an issue of fiqh. And that was the issue of 3 divorces. Are they to be considered to be a single divorce, or are they considered to be 3 divorces? Those of you who studied Madhab wa Ahl al-Hadith will know. So Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah was imprisoned for a stance that he took which was against the Hanabila. Hanabila considered 3 divorces to be 3. And because of this he was imprisoned. The second issue was the issue of Shadd al-Rihal, traveling to the Prophet ﷺ's grave, taking an Islamic expedition, traveling with the intention of visiting the Prophet ﷺ's grave. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said that this is a bid'ah. This is an heresy. And this safar is considered to be a safar fil ma'siyah, a journey which is considered to be a disobedient journey. Act is an act of disobedience. Just like what the Sufis do today, they intend to travel to the Prophet ﷺ's grave. And he said that if the safar, the journey, consists of ma'siyah, then you are not given the rukhsah or the exemption of combining your prayers and shortening them, because your journey is a journey upon sin. And they instigated against him and plotted and said that Ibn Taymiyyah says that traveling to the Prophet ﷺ's grave is an act of sin. The way that they presented it obviously was they misconstrued what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah meant. But he died because of a fiqh issue, and an issue which is related to Aqidah as well. But we find that when he took this position, he was adamant to stay upon the truth, and he did not compromise or negotiate. If today somebody is to take a position on a fiqh issue, believing that this is the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that person has the salaf to back him up, just like Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said that this was how the fatwa, how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam judged the people. He considered 3 divorces to be 1. Even Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So they will call you extreme. They will say that you are mutashaddid, you are extreme. But you see that they won't call Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah extreme. That Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah died in prison for this. So therefore, to follow the truth and to adhere to the truth, you have to be firm upon the truth, especially when you have verified that this is the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then nothing should bother you. Your mindset should be as such. And when we look at this, as the Shaykh said, he said, I just wanted all of us to realize the self-inherent importance of seeking knowledge. However, if we are destined to miss this opportunity, we should strive to raise our children upon it. Hopefully, they may achieve something. Indeed, Allah is capable of everything. And I remember when I started to seek knowledge, my grandfather and my parents, especially my mother, Hafidha Allah, she said to me that when she was young, she was in a hostel, meaning a boarding school, what they call hostel. and she was quite sharp in her studies, in her Islamic studies, and she wanted to excel in her studies, but there was nobody there to teach them. The person that was teaching them had very restricted knowledge. So she missed that opportunity, she said, but she had a lot of interest in studying Islam. When it came to myself, and when I left home to go and seek knowledge, and when I was seeking knowledge in my early days and in my early years, she would always say to me that you are my replacement. I pray to Allah that you are my replacement. So I will support you and stand beside you when it comes for you to seek knowledge. So if you as a parent don't have that opportunity, then try to facilitate for your children. No doubt that the best profession to get into is the profession of seeking knowledge, which will be a benefit in this dunya and in the akhirah. The Shaykh says, he says, parents should choose the best for their children and expect success from Allah alone. They should teach their children to be clean and virtuous. They should enrich their character with good manners. When they reach 5 years old, parents should direct them to memorize knowledge. For memorization at this age is like carving in a stone. Regretfully, missing this opportunity by teaching nothing to the child until he or she reaches puberty with lack of determination to seek knowledge causes loss on the child's part. So, an important point here is that don't be the cause of your child being deprived because of your negligence and your ignorance. That the child, if he was directed and if he was nurtured, then that child would have excelled and progressed to seek knowledge. But due to the negligence and the ignorance, this opportunity was missed. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah narrated that Musa ibn Ali narrated from his father that Luqman said to his son, "Son, seek knowledge in youth, because it is extremely difficult to seek knowledge, to seek it in older age. Son, admonition is as difficult to accept by a rash person as walking on a rugged ground by an old man." What beautiful advice that we find that Luqman gave to his son. The shahid of this, of what has been mentioned, is to seek knowledge in when the child is small, at a young age. Although the translator has translated in the youth, but it means before the youth. Naam. Abu Bakr al-Hafidh rahimahullah said learning knowledge in the early age helps rooting knowledge in memory due to less worldly distractions. Like I mentioned to you, a child, when he starts to seek knowledge, he is able to focus if he's put on the right track and he's given the right direction, because he doesn't have responsibility and there's no worldly distractions. Lots of free time and an empty mind. The vessel is empty. You can fill it up as you want. Benefit is most likely guaranteed if this opportunity were to be seized. On the contrary, ignoring it until the child grows older, not to mention an anticipated change of character and the diminishing of the youth advantages, add up to rendering the whole process of learning in old age extremely far away from happening. So this is Abu Bakr al-Hafidh rahimahullah gave us two scenarios, and he described the young child that the mind is fresh, it's like an empty vessel, the mind is empty. The child has times, and the child has time, free time. One of the most valuable gifts to have at this time for the one who knows about it. So then the Shaykh, he said, learning knowledge in youth potentially increases the chances of achieving the ultimate purpose of the student. For instance, Shafi'i rahimahullah traveled to Medina in order to learn from Malik rahimahullah when he was 14 years old, with no beard on his face yet. So Shafi'i, he started to seek knowledge at an early age. And when he went to seek knowledge with Malik, he literally had no hair. He had no hairs on his chin. He narrates his own story in seeking knowledge as follows. This is the story of Shafi'i rahimahullah. He says, I was 14 when I left Mecca with no beard. I was wearing 2 Yemeni garments. On the way, I passed by a caravan to whom I greeted with salams, and they responded. An old man approached me and requested, since you greeted us, you must come and eat with us. I did not know they brought food. Anyway, I accepted his invitation. I saw the people using their 5 fingers to pick up food and throw it in their mouths. I did exactly like them, so my manner of eating would not repulse them. I even noticed the old man who invited me looking at me every now and then while I was eating. I finished eating and then I drank water until I was full. I thanked Allah and praised Him afterwards. So the benefit that we find is that when you are invited to eat as a guest, and you see that your host and the people that you are eating with eat in a particular manner, then from the adab or from the good manners is that you eat exactly like them. If they are eating in a particular manner and you're able to do so, then you should eat like them. The old man then turned to me and asked, are you from Mecca? I said, yes. He continued, are you from the tribe of Quraysh? I said, yes. But I asked him, how did you know that? He said, there is lots of food in the city, in Mecca, and a person who likes to accept people's invitations for food likes for them to eat his. This trait marks the tribe of Quraysh. So here we can see that he's speaking about the quality of the people of Quraysh, the good quality of the people of Quraysh. So basically he showed that somebody who has a lot of abundant food accepted the humble invitation of such a person. I asked him, where are you from? The old man responded, I'm from Medina of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I asked him, who is the celebrated scholar and responsible for fatwa over there? He responded, Malik ibn Anas. I said, I'm so eager to see him. He offered, don't you see this camel over there? I said, yes. He said, you can ride along with us until you reach Medina and meet Malik. This is our best manageable camel, and there is room for more in our caravan. I accepted his offer. Then I asked him, when will you leave? He said, now. They gave me the camel and they promised me to ride, and we took off. During our travel, I finished the Quran 16 times. One at night and another in the morning. Al-Shafi'i then narrated his story with Malik, including how he learned from him. The whole story took place when he was just 14 years old. May Allah be pleased with him and have His mercy upon him. So here we see that at an early age, Malik, Al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, on his journey to Medina, finished the Quran 16 times. One at night and the other during the day, in the morning. And he was only 14 years old when he went to learn knowledge from Al-Imam Malik ibn Anas rahimahullah ta'ala. The next side heading is that the student should seek knowledge as long as he is still breathing. I think this section is very important for the people of the West who don't even start to seek knowledge, and they think that they have sufficient amount of knowledge. Illa ma rahimahullah. By reading bits and bobs, reading with cut and paste, reading from here and there, and they think now that they are qualified and they are able to, they have sufficient amount of knowledge. So we know the famous statement that from the cradle to the grave, when it comes to seeking knowledge, from the cradle to the grave. The Shaykh says that the student should not feel despair if he gets older without scoring significant achievements. It is possible that a man lagging in the far end but has resolute determination could reach the lead and become the leader. Allah might keep you till this age in order to make something out of you. So do not look under your feet, but instead look ahead and supplicate for the gates of heaven. And supplicate. For the gates of heaven are wide open. Do not procrastinate. If you noticed eagerness to knowledge in your heart and readiness to acquire it, don't wait until it is too late. You have a purpose, go for it and do not sidestep it. Because if you missed it, you would be like those described in Al-Mutanabbi's poetic verse. He says, never have I seen more of a serious error in people than the slackness to do what they are capable of. And this is what he said. That's what Mutanabbi said. Nah. He said, وَلَمْ أَرَى فِي عُيُوبِ النَّاسِ عَيْبًا كَعَجْزِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلَى التَّمَامِ. So the student should acquire more and more knowledge, no matter how you are aged. Knowledge, leadership, and prestige should not stop the student from learning more, as knowledge is a lifetime protracted process from birth till death. You have read the aforementioned quote from al-Bukhari that highlights the companion's endeavor in learning despite their old age. So this is something which is very important. So the verse of Mutanabbi is very reflective if you think about it. I know of many students that came here to study with me, and I saw potential in them. But many of them, they left for various reasons. And after knowing about some of them, seeing that rather than moving forward, either they have taken the wrong course or they are lost or everything is jumbled up for them. Many of them, I'm not saying all of them. So this line of poetry is befitting for them, that they had potential, and had they stuck with their teacher or anybody else, not necessarily me, but were on the same path of seeking knowledge, maybe they were able to achieve something. And this mindset that a lot of these graduates from Medina University have. I remember the day I graduated from Medina University a long time ago. And when I went to meet one of the sheikhs and I told him and I gave him the good news, alhamdulillah, I had completed my studies. He smiled back at me and he said to me, well, you have now just started to seek knowledge, meaning now your journey to seeking knowledge starts. You have a lot of these graduates, illa marhamullah, who think after 6 years that now they're great scholars. And then you see them that whilst they were there, a lot of them, they didn't give it their best shot. And I don't want to expose a lot of them because I know a lot of them and I've seen a lot of them of what they did. But there was a time in Medina University before the era of technology where all your achievements and all your failures would be put up on boards publicly in the university. And I know some of them, and I know their failures because I saw those failures, regardless of what it was. And this is how the university would be conducted, that your grades would be put up for everybody to see of what you got and what you achieved. Not that grades is a criteria to say that whether you seek knowledge or not. This is not the purpose. I'm saying to here that somebody who has left his home has made an agreement with the university that his sole purpose of leaving his home is to come and seek knowledge and to learn at the university and then does not do so, then that is what is problematic. Not that good grades or a first-class degree determines whether you are knowledgeable or not. That is not the discussion here. And many of them, I know many of them, many of them, of what they were known to be doing in Medina and what happened. And a lot of the times they, because of me also working at the university and knowing a lot of the Shaykh in high positions in the university, I would get phone calls and I would get inquiries being made to me that, do I know so and so, or what do I think of so and so. So this is what needs to be highlighted, that the journey of when you graduate from Medina University is really when your journey starts to seek knowledge. It's a lot of them, they give up seeking knowledge. They don't further their studies. And I think it was just a few weeks ago that my mother was asking me, knowing that I continue studying, she says, everybody else stops. Why are you continuing to study? So I smiled back and I said to her, because I see all my teachers continuing to study. The Sahabas continued studying till they died. The Salaf continued studying till they died. And I want to continue studying till I die. This is just how it is. I said it's not there's no level, there's no cap on this, that once you start seeking knowledge, once you get to a certain level, you stop. I mean, we know that Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Baz rahmatullah alayhi, that certain books would be read to him yearly. Because he was blind, he would read those books over and over again. And this is the benefit of seeking knowledge. Ibn al-Mubarak was asked, for how long do you intend to keep seeking knowledge? He said, until death, if Allah wills. He responded to the same question in another time. I will keep seeking knowledge lest the word that would benefit me the most did not come yet. Al-Mansur ibn al-Mahdi asked Ma'mun, should an old man seek knowledge? He answered him, since ignorance brings blame, knowledge brings praise. Az-Zarnuji said, Al-Hasan ibn Ziyad started learning fiqh when he was 80 years old, and he had not slept on his own bed for 40 years. Neither prestige nor age held Musa back from traveling to meet the righteous servant. When Allah told him that this servant has more knowledge, Musa does not have. Al-Khadr, we're talking about Al-Khadr here, and Musa alayhi salam. This incident is narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari under the chapter Musa's journey to meet Al-Khadr and Allah's saying. قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. مما علمت رشدا. نعم مما علمت رشدا. قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. Musa said to him, Khadir, may I follow you so that you teach me something of that knowledge, guidance and true path which you have been taught by Allah. مما علمت رشدا. Ibn Abbas narrated that he differed with Al-Hurr ibn Qais ibn Hisn al-Fazari regarding the companion of Musa. Ibn Abbas said that it was Al-Khidr. Meanwhile, Ubay ibn Ka'b passed by them, and Ibn Abbas called him, saying, "My friend, and I have deferred regarding Musa's companion, whom Musa asked the way to meet. Have you heard Allah's Messenger mention something about him?" He said, "Yes, I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying." Class, bi'idhnillah, we'll stop here. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala, of who was the companion of Musa alayhi salam. And we'll read the hadith, inshallah, of Sahih al-Bukhari in our next lesson. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. The point that I would like to mention to the students of knowledge, on the students, is that there is no age restriction for when it comes to seek knowledge. There is a recommended time and period. There is a ada, or the normal or the preferred way or manner of seeking knowledge is that when you are young. And it could be so that you could start seeking knowledge when you are old, if you did not get the chance. So the door is always open for the one who wants to seek knowledge. No doubt that there is a recommended time, but that which is the most important thing is that one should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them with beneficial knowledge. Knowledge that will help them and assist them. And knowledge that will help them to differentiate haqq between batil. Knowledge that will act as a shield so that the person is not duped or deceived. With regards to some people that deceive others. So, for example, I will mention this last thing and end the lesson here today. A figurehead, a great deviant by the name of Yusuf al-Qardawi, who was the head of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin, and somebody whose what is the word that I'm looking for? Whose role model was Muhammad al-Ghazali from Egypt. This man has been refuted by every single scholar of the Sunnah that I know. So there are certain individuals now who are confusing the people. And they are saying that there are two extremes. There are those who praise them, which are al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin, and then there are those who dispraise them, and his indication is towards the Salafiyun. And he claims, this individual who is a graduate from Medina, claims that he is in the middle. Because this man is a caller of the bid'ah of al-Muwazana. The bid'ah of al-Muwazana is when you mention the good and the bad. But we find that when the Salaf, when they disparaged, when they made jarh upon individuals, you will see in their books, they never praised the good things. This man is responsible for the blood of thousands of Muslims. And he himself said that, may Allah rise me from amongst the khutaba who are from the ones who give sermons of fitna. He said, I pray to Allah that He raises me with them. When he was told that the ulama of Sunnah said that this man is a man of fitna. So now this individual, when I was coming, one student sent me a clip of his, where he covers his back. Well, he thinks that he covers his back by saying, oh yes, we know that some of the scholars said, some of the scholars were even going to make takfir on him, this and that, and he was a deviant. He says all this. And then at the same time, he defends him. So this person is more dangerous than the one who supports him clearly. Because the one who supports him and venerates him, his position is clear. But when this person comes with both types of speech, where he is favoring the praise over the dispraise, this is where he's confusing the masses. And this individual is known to do this. Because why? Because he has not read the books of the Salaf. And I know this for sure, with certainty. And this is not speculative, I'm telling you, that he has not read the books of the Salaf. He has not read the books of Al-Jarh wa Ta'dil. And it is surprising that all our scholars of Sunnah, when this person died, are speaking facts about this individual. And here, this guy here in the UK, due to the absence of the scholars, is misguiding and confusing the masses, like he does. He did this when it came to Menk, he did this now, again with Al-Qardawi. And day by day, this man's deviancy is becoming clear for the one who wants the truth. For the one who knows that the haqq and the batil is separated. Where are al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin and where are Salafiyun? How can they be together? How can fire and water unite? How can shar and khair unite? How can haqq and batil unite? This is why it's very important to seek knowledge, to be around the people of knowledge, and to refer back to the people of knowledge. Subhanallah, every single scholar that I know of, Saudi Arabia, has spoken and dispraised this person. And I said, وَعَلَيْهِ مَا يَسْتَحِقْ. And this individual, he has dispraised and praised. And the reason of why he did this is clear. He dispraised him so that nobody tomorrow can say that he didn't dispraise him. But he has confused the masses. Because after those who listen to the speech of his, say to them, what is the end product? What is the khulasa of what you have understood with regards to this man? His praised Al-Qardawi and he has dispraised Al-Qardawi. What should your position be? You will see most of them will be confused and inclined towards that we should take the good and leave the bad, which is the bid'atul muwazana. Now, so this is what I wanted to say. And barakallahu feekum, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you from the fitan. And stick with the scholars of Sunnah. Stick to the scholars of Sunnah. Don't precede the scholars when it comes to such individuals. When you speak about such individuals, then be a transmitter, not a speaker. And what's shocking about this individual, Al-Qardawi, who died as a deviant, is that there is no difference of opinion with regards to him according to the scholars of Sunnah. There's no difference of opinion. Everybody, every single scholar of the Sunnah held him in the highest point of deviancy. Now, if this is the case with Al-Qardawi, then what about those who are below him? What do you think that this individual, this graduate of Medina, is going to, when he speaks about such individuals, what's his position going to be with regards to them? You can imagine. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, and we need to stick with the scholars of the Sunnah. And all these things that they will bring, all these doubts that they will bring, that which needs to be highlighted is what is the position of the scholars of him after he has died, the living scholars. It could be so that a scholar may have said something about him when his issues were not clear. So to bring a statement of Albani or Bin Baz after the Arab Spring, after this man encouraging millions and supporting the Arab Spring and the bloodshed that happened in Egypt and everywhere and around the world. You want to bring old statements of the scholars when his hal may have not been clear at that time, or only X amount of deviancy was clear to them. This is deception, talbis and tadlis. And this is the work of shaitan. Because you yourself are diseased in the heart. So how can a person who is misguided himself and confused himself guide others? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to the truth and protect us from such misguidance, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to stay with the scholars and take our position from the scholars who are living, who are known to know the condition of this man and known to defend the Sunnah. Barakallahu feekum, and I'll see you next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.